I'm going to actually explain who the church is, what the church actually is laying claim to. And I have to go back to the beginning. And I'm going to use me as an example. Baby Curtis, my mother, my biological mother, goes into the hospital and gives birth to me, the biological baby boy. Whole. You know, I had 2 arms, 2 legs, heart, mind, spirit. I mean, I am whole. And I go home with mom and dad. Now, I have both my mother's and father's DNA. In fact, when mom and dad get together, now again, I try not to be vulgar, but when they get together, the will to be together sexually,
Yes.
that's will. And when my father's seed gets planted into or fertilizes the egg or ovum of my mother,
Yeah.
another situation starts to occur. But when that happens, my father's no longer in the picture. And again, not to be vulgar, but Dad, up and out of there. He no longer is participating in the growth of that new being. So in my mother's womb, my mother creates all the protective layers and things like that around that series of cells. That's all it is for now. It's just a series of cells splitting through mitosis. So, just dividing through mitosis. Now, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people think that moment when at conception, so to speak, that would be it is life. There's no doubt about it being life. But is it a separate life? No, because it doesn't even have a heart. In fact, my mother's heart is beating for that series of cells. My mother's blood, the pumping of my mother's blood is what's nourishing that clump of cells. My mother's heart is beating for that potential new being. Now, when there's been enough cell division, and there are organs that start to show up in that group of cells, and the heart is fully formed to the point where the SA node now can actually start to take on the rhythm of the earth, or accept the spirit from an external source where it comes in and ignites that SA node to get that separate heart beating. Once the separate heart is beating, you have 2 separate beings. Until that moment, my mother's blood is supplying that group of cells, soon to be me. My mother's heart is beating for both entities.
Okay.
Until the other heart beats on its own. Mm-hmm. Remember, there's 2 separate blood supplies too. So here's the thing: is this new potential being is being formed inside of, let's just call it something simple, the amniotic sac. I'm not going to go into the placenta. I want to talk specifically about the amniotic sac. My mother creates in her body, she creates the amniotic sac out of her DNA only. The amniotic sac has none of my father's DNA at all. The amniotic sac is not male. It's pure female.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that when baby Curtis arrives and is born through whether it's C-section or vaginally, doesn't matter. It does to the court of law. It does, because a C-section is considered an abortion. But vaginally, let's just get away from that stuff. But I'm just saying that once I arrive, it's all done. I'm gone. I'm never to be heard from again. Now, the problem is this other material that my mother created to protect me. This amniotic sac that surrounded me through my entire growth period prior to arrival or birth. Mm-hmm. This is mother's DNA only. But the funny thing is that when it comes out, it's called the afterbirth. The afterbirth consists, of many things, but let's just say that this particular vessel, the vessel I arrived in, is pure mitochondrial DNA. It's pure female. No male DNA at all. Now, I want you to really consider this, because if there's no male involved, this is a virgin birth.
Right.
Because there's no biological male. That means that this second coming, this second arrival, this afterbirth, this other material that's produced after my arrival, they call it afterbirth. It's the second legal person, or it's another legal person according to law. All the material, all the matter after me is still a legal person. How's that sound?
Yeah, right. Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So
Yeah.
this afterbirth is considered a child of God in the image, And what I'm getting at is that this child, this afterbirth child, this amniotic sac, it doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have a mind, it doesn't have a backbone or a spine, it doesn't have the ability to provide for itself at all. So this second child, so to speak, this second legal person, it arrives, even upon its moment of arrival, it's already dying. So this second child is already considered a decedent, because that's what decedent means. It means dying, in a process of dying. It cannot self-sustain, so it's already dying. Now the problem with this is that second born, that second son, that second coming is the matter, is the child that gets the name. In the hospital, the registration process, the upper and lower case Curtis Richard Kallenbach gets attached to the afterbirth. That's the registered child. That's the registered DNA. So Curtis Richard Kallenbach is female.
Oh.
Now, so Curtis Richard Kallenbach, there are no males left in America. They're all females according to the birth certificates. This is the bloodline of Mary. This is the Holy Grail. They've captured a planet through claiming the mitochondrial female DNA from mother to mother to mother to mother to mother. There are no fathers. There are no males.
Right.
The church is female. It's actually called the Matrix Ecclesia. It's a female. That's what the Matrix is. The Matrix is female.
Matrix. Okay.
So the Matrix Ecclesia is a mother church. The Matrix is female. The matrix is the mitochondrial DNA. It's the makeup of this world. This world, through the bloodline of Mary, has no male except for one. And that male is the Godfather. The Godfather to all these females and their offspring is the Pope.
Right.
That there are no males to claim anything because there's no male DNA. So Curtis Richard Kallenbach does not have my father's DNA in it. It has my mother's. The funny thing is that I share that DNA with that second-born son. I call him the mama's boy. The mama's boy has only mother's DNA. Now he shares half of my DNA, but the entirety of his DNA is female. By the way, in the law books, when you look up his in the Black's Law, his also means hers. Now, in law, or in the legal system, call this second child my sister state. My sister state. Where does the sister state exist? Where was it registered? And where does he exist? So Curtis Richard Kallenbach, the mama's boy, virgin born, immaculately conceived child, in my case, it gets what? It lives forever through its corporate aspect. They created an all caps trust, a charitable public trust for Curtis Richard Kallenbach, upper and lower case. That trust will live forever.